Today we're going to talk about some unusual pens, and at the end I'll be giving one special edition away. I'll be filling this first pen with this teeny tiny bottle of ink from Tag. And you're thinking, well, what pen? Well, it's this pen. This is the Filaco Micro Mini Fountain Pen Slim that I purchased from the Japanese website and Story, and I'll leave the information down below. This is an actual functioning fountain pen. It has a little rubber sac on the inside that you can use to suck up ink, and it has a functioning feed and nib. Tag Stationery sells these kits with 5 5-milliliter bottles of ink, and they sell them in seasonal sets. This is last year's seasonal set of autumn. I felt like a bottle of ink from this collection was appropriate for that tiny pen. Here you can see how small the set is compared to this Mont Blanc 149. And here you can see the 149 compared to the Filaco. This is about the only pen that I post because it's just way too small if you don't post it. This is the rubber sac that you squeeze when you insert the nib inside the ink to suck it up. It does function, it does hold ink, but they don't guarantee that it doesn't leak if you carry it around. So when you use this, you'll just need to fill it with ink and just use it at home and make sure it's tightly capped. It's a very fine nib. I'm writing here on a 5mm dot grid with Tomoe River. And it's a surprisingly smooth writer. The only thing that it's just a little hard to hold because it's really small. So this is more of a novelty pen than an actual, like say, everyday writer. This is the Symmetry version 9.1 made by Eureka Fountain Pen Company. It is Japanese ebonite covered with tamenuri urushi, and then he makes his own nibs and feeds. The feed is made of ebonite, and the nib is made of a mixture of argentium silver with a little bit of platinum. There aren't a lot of silver nibs out there, and this is even more unusual in that it's argentium silver with platinum. This is a pretty hefty nib. It contains 1 gram of silver. For instance, a Mont Blanc 149, the nib weighs between 0.9 and 1 gram. The 146 is 0.7 grams, and an Aurora pen, it's 0.7 grams. It's also a beautiful nib. He also cuts the ebonite feeds, so everything in the pen has been actually made by him except for the converter. It's a pleasant, smooth writer, and it's a very firm nib. It doesn't have any softness to it at all, which is not unusual, but it does distinctly feel different than my other gold nibs. This is the Indigraph pen. Calligraphy ink and India ink, when they dry, they develop a shellac kind of coating. That's why we can't use India ink or calligraphy ink in a fountain pen, because that shellac will form inside the nib and clog the nib and feed. This is a fountain pen made so that you can use calligraphy ink or India ink with it. It comes with a small bottle of India ink. And notice it gets narrower there by the clip. And the other odd thing is the clip is not actually on the cap, it's on the barrel. This is the cap right here. I got this with a 1.4 steel nib. It comes with a Schmidt converter. And interestingly, you can unscrew the end and take the clip off of it and have a clipless model if you prefer. How this works, after you take this end piece off, there is a small permeable membrane inside the cap. Here you can see the membrane. You unscrew the section of that cap just enough where you see these holes. Here I've totally unscrewed it and you can see the holes. And then you hold it under water and then it fills up the reservoir inside the cap. Here you can see I've slightly unscrewed that little end cap, which is on the cap of the pen itself, and the little hole, and you hold that underwater, and that's how you fill up the reservoir. But I've found it's just easier just to unscrew that cap completely and then just drop some water in there with an eyedropper. There's a glass window where you can check the level of water inside of this reservoir that's in your cap. Here I'm just using a eyedropper and just filling it with water into the reservoir. So to keep the calligraphy ink or India ink from drying and forming that shellac layer, that water keeps the inside of the cap very humid. I'm not interested in calligraphy ink or India ink. I'll just get myself in trouble with it. But I thought this might be handy since I do use a lot of weird inks to keep that nib wet. I thought I would fill it with a glass pen only ink. This is kind of a pigmented light blue ink that is called Snow Lights, made by Tono and Limbs. You can see it looks pretty wild. This ink looks pretty stunning when you first write with it on black paper. But as you can see here, it just starts to dry a lot lighter. And it basically looks like a kind of thick whitish light blue on regular paper. Here it is on black paper after it's dried. You can see it's very light. Here it is on Tomoa River. It halos quite a bit. And I tried it on a variety of different colored journaling paper. And overall, it's a very smooth writer. I had no problem with it, and I've had this pigmented, glass pen only ink in there, and it doesn't seem to dry out the nib at all, so I'm not having any problems with it clogging. The only thing that's kind of a pain is you need to check the water in there, because if the water dries out, well, then your ink's going to dry out. This chunky cutie is called the Platinum Glamour, and it was gifted to me by someone who wishes to remain anonymous. However, I am allowed to shout out the Colorado Pen Posse, whom I'd like to visit one day on some of my trips through Denver. This pen reminds me a lot of the Moon Man Q1 that just came out a little while ago. I didn't get one of those because I was on my 30-day fast at the time, and this picture was taken by the glamour photographer Fudifan. But it has a much more interesting nib on it. This kind of flared out, pudgy little nib that looks kind of crazy with it. Here it is pictured with a 149 and a Pilot Prera. It's a vintage pen, and I can't get a good fix on when it was available in Japan, somewhere between the 1970s and the 1990s. It's a bit of a monster when it's posted. It only uses short international cartridges, and I don't have any. If you're interested in a writing sample, Mystery Arts has a video about this, and I'll post that in the description box. This came in black along with a black clip, and then also in white and a couple of other pastel colors. It's just a very eye-catching vintage pen. And a special thank you to my anonymous pen friend from Colorado. This magazine is Shumi no Bungu Bako, which is Japan's premier fountain pen magazine. I'm showing this to illustrate how popular glass pens are in Japan. The cover of the premier fountain pen magazine showcases a bunch of glass pens, and that's the main article in the magazine. Here's a glass pen with amethysts in a liquid. Here's a section on the maintenance and care of glass pens and how to use them. Here's the famous Tooth ribbon glass pens where you can get like an italic nib or a scroll nib. These glass pens are like mermaids. Here's a whole section that analyzes the nibs of the glass pens from different companies, from both the top-down view and the side view. I would be remiss in leaving out the Drillog from this video, even though it's not a fountain pen. Glass pens are just so big now in the fountain pen world here, and the Drillog is kind of a nutty pen. It's a stainless steel dip pen that comes in both the 0.5 and 0.8 nib size. And they recommend that you use the 0.8 if you want to use a lot of glitter or pigment inks, but I found pigment inks can work or not work depending on whether or not it has a lot of surfactant in it. And you can see from this it's built like a tank. And it looks like the Drillog will become available outside of Japan as they are starting a Kickstarter, and I'll link up to that page. This is Uffizi Strozzi My Senza, and it's also from the And Story Japanese website. This kit is made for people who like ink or maybe want to try out different kinds of ink. It's a nice compact tin, smaller than a pen. And the tin opens up, and inside you've got a pen, an eyedropper, and 2 ink vials. These are all packed in here pretty tight in this foam, so they're not gonna leak ink anywhere. The way it's supposed to work is all you need is this tin, a tissue, and a glass of water. So that's something you could probably get at any coffee shop or whatever, wherever you're having your pen meet at. And then you basically open it and lay your tissue there on the top. These are the actual instructions from their video. The eyedropper is put in so that the tip is protected by the actual little rubber piece there, and then you assemble the eyedropper. You unscrew the barrel from the pen, and it has a pretty heavy-duty rubber gasket there to prevent any kind of leaks. I pre-filled one of the vials with ink. On their demo video they just did water, but I was a lot braver. And basically you hold the barrel and the vial in your same hand and then just transfer the ink into your pen. Then just reattach the barrel to the section, and now you've got an inked up pen. Then you clean out the eyedropper in your thing of water. I found their eyedropper didn't work real well. I don't think it has a tight enough grip, so I just took a regular cheapy eyedropper and did the same thing. Put the tip in the rubber part and then stuck it in the same section, and it works just great. Everything all fits in there, and it's nice and compact and tight. It's a small steel nib, and it writes very smoothly. I really enjoyed it. It's not just so small that you can't write with it unposted, but I think a lot of people will want to post it. And the nice thing is that if you do want to post it, it's screw on, so you can screw it on and post it. And here it is in my hand with it posted and unposted. But what this would be handy for, if you wanted to go somewhere and have 3 different kinds of ink, you could have one kind of ink in the pen and one kind of ink in each of the 2 vials, so you'd have 3 different kinds of ink. Or you could go with them all empty and go to your pen meetup or something where you may trade off different ink samples with each other, and you could collect 3 different samples, of one of each in the 2 sample vials and then the pen itself. This My Senza is kind of an Inkophiles compact carrying case, and here's a lovely nib on it. These next 2 pens are just kind of fun pens I got on AliExpress, and you can find all kinds of weird pens there that it's kind of hard to figure out who makes it and what the pen is supposed to do. This pen comes in 3 sections. That one on the right is the cap, I think, and then one in the middle is the grip, and then the section on the end there is the barrel. It's listed on AliExpress for less than $20, and it's called a Unique Design Fountain Pen, and I really couldn't tell who made it until I got it, and both the nib and the converter have the Wing Sung markings on it, so I'm assuming it's a Wing Sung fountain pen. If someone knows what this model is, I'd appreciate it if you let me know. It's a nice smooth writer. The only weird thing is that it is a 3-sided section, and that kind of makes it holding it kind of weird. But it's a nice pen for under $20. But what I'm seeing happening now in the fountain pen scene over here is they're really appealing to kind of the cutie pen. And you can tell by this next pen. This one is listed as the Little Bear fountain pen. This is called the Sika Bear, the ABS edition. And other than that little tail there on the end, the body looks a lot like a Pilot Plumix, including the feed section. And it comes in pink, blue, or black. This pen is definitely going for the younger crowd with its kind of cartoony cute looks, and it's about $15. It's going after the same crowd as the Platinum Shooting Star, which has little stars on the nib and in pastel colors. It's a smooth rider and a comfortable pen to hold, and for $15, it's got a cute bear on it. I'm hoping these inexpensive and kind of flashy and cute pens will lure in some more younger users of fountain pens. I typically don't like a lot of Wing Sung pens because it seems like the inner cap inside is punctured by the finial end, and it makes it so the nib dries out very easily. But this Wing Sung 698 is a special pen. It has a 14 karat gold nib and it cost me $49. I think it's currently running for about $55. Basically, Wing Sung bought out a company that owned Lucky Pens, and they inherited the new old stock of 14 karat gold nibs from the 1990s. But what's amazing that it's not only a 14 karat gold nib, but it's a soft nib. It's nice and bouncy and has a little bit of flex to it. And an interesting tidbit is that the steel nib for the 698 appears to be identical both in the nib and the feed to the Pilot Prera nib and feed. So let's try switching out the Pilot Prera nib into the Wing Sung 698 and the Wing Sung gold nib into the Pilot Prera. This is the Wing Sung 698 with the Pilot Prera nib in it, and it works just great. And this is the Pilot Prera with the Lucky nib in it. So if you want a soft gold nib in your Pilot Prera or Metropolitan, you may want to snag yourself one of these pens. And speaking of Pilot Preras, this beautiful green special edition Pilot Prera is put out by the West Japan Stationers Circle. Their logo is Oeste, which in Spanish means west. I'm not sure why they want to use a Spanish word, but it's to signify Western Japan. When I used to look at a map of Japan, I would look at it as like north and south, but really how it's separated in Japan is east and west, and Western Japan is this area. It includes the major cities of like Osaka, Kyoto, Kobe, Hiroshima, and Nagasaki. I believe this pen is their 4th special edition color Prera that they put out. I think they limit it to like 200 pens per color, and you can only buy one pen when you're buying this. They won't let you buy multiples. And the Oeste symbol is on the nib. It's a O with the este on the inside of it. While this pen is pretty and it's cool that it has, a special nib, that's not the reason why it made my crazy pens list. It's because the pen comes in this cool triangular, like Toblerone candy looking box. And just like the Toblerone candy, you kind of peel off that paper tab and pull the pen out. Well, they came out with a 5th color, which is Ibis Red, which is inside this box. And I'd like to give someone a chance to open this kind of Toblerone looking box to get their pen. I bought the pen at Usagiya, and it looks like this Ibis Red is kind of a raspberry red. I don't really know. I haven't opened the box. So if you'd like to have a chance to win this special edition Oeste Pilot Prera and Ibis Red, head on over to my Instagram account and just put any kind of comment under my current photo. I'll use a random comment picker and then announce the winner on my next video. The reason I use my Instagram account for my giveaways now is because I can't contact anybody on YouTube. I've been trying to give away this Pilot Kakuno, a special edition with the Ridakuma bear on it, and I can't because no one claims it. So on Instagram, at least I can message you. So since I'm giving away this Pilot Prera and I haven't been able to give away this Ridakuma Pilot Kakuno, I'm just going to combine that with this Oeste pen. So drop on by my Instagram account and put a comment down, and you have an opportunity to win both of these pens. If you enjoyed this video, I'd appreciate it if you check out my channel and give me a like and a subscribe. See you next week.